I think I know exactly when the end of the world is going to be. I said, I think. It's going to be the day after we die of old age, like minutes right after them. That's kind of the way I see it. Like you prepare for him coming back immediately, and you have your bags packed, and you have everything good to go, and then plan that it's the day after you take your last breath, or maybe 15 minutes after you take your last breath, or just like seconds after you take your last breath. That way, there's no disappointment. And then, as far as the end of the world goes, um, we win. Now, I think, all right, I'm going to shoot it to you straight. Hard part's not going to be like, deny Christ or we're going to chop your head off, because then you kind of know it's like, hey, dude, if I deny him, I lose, but if I lose my head for him, I win. And also, by the way, if you are in that situation, buddy, an acquaintance of mine named Dan, he was on death row in Iraq. There's a YouTube's he has a video on with Pat Robertson or one of those guys named Dan. He was on death row in Iran because they thought he was a spy. He was just a youth minister from YWAM. And he tried to commit suicide twice while he was incarcerated because they were beating him up pretty bad. And on the third time, he failed, and then Jesus showed up and healed his heart. And then Jesus said, hey, do you want me to tell you what I think of your captors? And Dan goes, no, I don't. Because he knew that God was love. And eventually he gave in and was like, all right, fine, tell me what you think about him. And then he's like, oh, I love my captors. And then he went up to his captors and he's like, hi, my name's Dan. I'm going to be here you're going to be beating me up for a while, so let's be friends. Flipped them out. A lot of those guys got saved, and then they kicked him out of the country, said, don't come back. So my point is, don't worry about taking your cross or dying for the gospel. And if you're going to have the ability to do it yourself, because you're not. It is his ability in us and with us that lets us do anything, whether it's being meek or being nice to the mean person or getting off drugs or doing whatever. It's his job to transform us, not our own. It's his job to strengthen us, not our own. And if you want to be strong, the secret is, and now I know it's on YouTube, but don't tell anybody, is it's the joy of the Lord. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And if you want to be strong, be happy by his Spirit. And then if you see the world coming to the end, you're like, all right, cool. You know, it might be the day after I die. All right. Or it might be this moment. All right, fine. But both are okay. And both, if you hang out, you're not going to deal with the drama. You're going to deal with the good. And if it gets darker, just be light, and light's bright and it's joyful and it's his presence. So you're actually aligning yourself for more joy because you'll have peace in the turmoil. But like, how are you so peaceful? You're like, all right, fine. So that's my thoughts on the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. Ah. And what else is there? So I forget what Dan is. It's Dan. I think it's, what was his? It was on Dan on death row in Iran. Maybe I'll try to post it on the bottom. I got to meet the dude, big guy, just kind as the day is long, and his testimony's on there. I've changed. I'm like, dude, I used to be as paranoid as anybody because I was into drugs, so you had to be paranoid. Now I'm not, and even if there are paranoid cartels out there, I mean, there are cartels out there anyhow, people plotting, whatever. Moses overcame Pharaoh's best by defeating their sorcerers. Then that was just one man who wasn't filled with the Spirit. Moses is a good guy, don't get me wrong, but we are better than Moses. We're better than Elijah. It was Elijah. Basically, I forget which prophet it is, but Even the weakest or the least in the kingdom of heaven is better than any of the Old Testament prophets. So if you're watching and you've given your heart to God, you're one of them. You're on the A team. You're number one with a bullet. You can overcome. It is by the word, but it is but by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, and we love not our life unto death. Because even we live, we win. We die, we win. Because if you die, you're with Him. You live, you're here without sin. I know that's going to freak some people out, but we have no sin nature anymore. It is overcome by His Spirit. Do I sin? I have. I am not defined by sin. I am defined by His righteousness. That's what got me off drugs, and that's what makes me happy. And I feel Him now. And if you want Him, you can order yours today. Order to Jesus of Nazareth. Believe in your heart, confess with your mouth, and then walk it out. Learn of Him. Take His yoke upon you, which basically, dude, read a book, the Bible. Learn for yourself. He's fun. Get baptized, because then you have the remission of your sins. Angels are standing by. That's just a quick rambling on lunch break. So I hope you're having a drier day than us. And if you're not, it'll pass. Till then, peace, ciao, shalom, arigato, das verdanya, and goodbye.